Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back, Force here, and in today's video, I would like to break down The Division for you. But by this I mean tell you exactly what this game is and what you do. Now, what authority do I have to be in a position to talk to you about this? Well, I hit max level. Yesterday, we went on kind of a marathon gaming session, a little obsessive, bringing me back to my youth a bit, in which we hit the max character level in the game. Now, I, of course, still have the gear acquisition of the end game and the reputation grind of the Dark Zone, getting up my Dark Zone ranks. So there's still more game to be played, but in terms of leveling my character, we're all done. Plain and simple. So in this process of way too many hours that I even want to tell you about, I really feel like I have a strong fundamental grasp of I know, I went through it. This is what the game has to offer. So yes, the basics, what you'll be doing, you'll be moving around and shooting. And if you don't like the moving around and shooting, this is something that actually I spoke with Total Biscuit about back in the beta. He said, you know, the crux of this game is what you are doing almost 100% of the time is shooting, which makes sense. It's a third-person shooter. So if you don't like the shooting, there's a good chance you won't like the game. So what I'll say about the game shooting is it's all right. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's horrendous. Ubisoft did a horrible job. This is the clunkiest shooting ever. No. But I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like this is an amazingly addictive shooting experience. It was something I felt like with Destiny when it comes to... I think the shooting in that game is so fantastic. But we don't need to focus on that. And there's many other games, many other PC games that I think the shooting is very good in as well. This game's shooting, it's all right. It's good. It's good enough, certainly. Now, if you like the shooting of a third-person shooter, if you like the idea of playing a game like this in a massive open world, then you're already a step forward in potentially enjoying this game. The other things that this game is a loot-driven game, so you better like gear acquisition, in which power scaling happens. Lower levels are weaker than higher levels, and then like as you get stronger, you do a better job of engaging enemies that are stronger. So it's that whole notion of things are bullet spongy until they're not, because you're better. And then you present it with another challenge where things are bullet spongy again until they're not, because you've gotten better gear. It's that treadmill going up one rung at a time up this ladder of power and strength, until you eventually get to the point where you have the best of the best and nothing is a bullet sponge until that next content drop happens. So you better like the shooting and you better like a gear acquisition and a power creep, basically. If you enjoy those things, then you'll probably like The Division. So what are you going to be doing here? Well, you know, we go throughout Manhattan, and the purpose of our going throughout Manhattan is to take back the city, but what this ends up meaning is we've got a variety of goals to complete, and these are done in the form of 3 different types of quests. There are side missions, encounters, and main story quests. So I want to say first of all, the main story quest, hands down, the best thing about this game. I absolutely loved every single one that I've done. They are always set in unique and interesting locations. We go through these like really gorgeous areas, and they actually become quite varied. In fact, yesterday I went through, I believe it was a Russian consulate or something, and it was like crazy. I was going through it and I was talking to my stream and everything, and I was saying, I wish more of the game was like this, because most of the game is broken down, gritty New York City. But this particular area was this like beautiful, it's kind of like mansion-y looking, marble, everything. It was gorgeous. But anyways, there is variation. Most of it's just, you know, New York based because we're in New York, obviously. The main story missions are just a lot of fun. Now, what I will say about that, though, is that the boss fights, they're really not good. And I really hope they end up bringing it. When they've talked about incursions, they've talked about adding future endgame content, different things to do. I hope in this that we get interesting boss fights. I played the game start to finish, max level. I went through numerous boss fights. Every main story mission ends with a boss fight. None of them are memorable or really that interesting. It's always, as my fear was before the game came out and the sneak peek that we got in the beta, you just sit real far back and you shoot that yellow health bar until it becomes 0. Every once in a while you dodge a grenade. That's it. There were really no phases, no interesting mechanics, nothing. And that's unfortunate for me. Now, what I will say, though, is in a follow-up video, we're going to be focusing on the end game, because I'm now at the end game, which, as far as I can tell, consists of, I guess, 3 major things. You go through the Dark Zone, you get gear there, you progress up the Dark Zone tiers to the different stages of it, basically, and you up your Dark Zone rank. You get gear that way. You also do daily missions, in which they have you repeat certain missions in the game, certain stories or whatever, for extra rewards, which is nice. And then there is the challenge mode version of some of the story missions, which I've been told they're mixing things up a little bit there. So once I go through that stuff, I'll be doing that today. We might have a follow-up video talking about endgame tomorrow, because I'm probably going to be playing for about 9 or 10 hours today just on the endgame. And I can talk about that there, but from what I've seen so far, not a single memorable, interesting boss encounter. It was all very, very straightforward. Now, I'd like to move on to the other 2 types of missions that I've talked about. I will praise to the high heavens these main story missions. I think they're fantastic, unique, and interesting, as I've already said numerous times. The encounters are basically just mini versions of those. Encounters also have you unlocking resources for the 3 tiers of your base of operations. Medical, security, and tech. I keep forgetting. Is the 3rd one called tech? It's called like tech or electric or something. I always forget what that one's called. It doesn't matter. There's green, blue, and yellow. You unlock green, blue, and yellow resources, and you get those versions of your base of operations, and that gives you, as you upgrade your base of operations, you get more skills, you get more mods, you get more perks, you get more talents. So basically, you progress your character as your base of operation progresses. And you progress your character and do that not only by those main story missions, which will give you those resources, but those encounters. Encounters are just like tinier, more localized, and certainly less impressive versions of the story missions. Because again, the story missions are always in unique and interesting locations. And the encounters just are typically in just the regular old New York that you're constantly walking through. Which, you know, one thing you can't really say about this game is that it doesn't have detail. You might not like the location, you might not like the time of year, you might not like the fact that it's all set in one section of New York. But boy, the detail is crazy. All of the stuff in the streets and the buildings that you can go into, all of the detail, things on the walls, on the ground, everything around you. It's just incredibly detailed. It really is pretty good looking. Not E3 trailer good looking, but on the PC, playing on max settings, a game still looks pretty good. So back to the encounters, and also with these side missions, they are definitely much, much less impressive than those main story missions, and I guess that's to be expected. My biggest gripe after going through and getting max level, doing all of the side missions and the encounters, is that they tend to get incredibly repetitive. And I don't just mean repetitive in the sense that, oh, we've got missions to kill somebody here or to defend a location. It's that they are literally repeating the exact same mission over and over again, just in different locations. Couple of examples. I probably did 5 to 10 versions of pick up one of these 3 heavy suitcases and bring it to this spot in the center. I did an equal number of the exact same version of turn on the water, turn the water back on in the sewers. But what I mean is, it's literally the exact same room layout in just multiple different locations. It's like a T. You go in, and the first time I ever encountered it, low level, we went in from like the north side. And the second time I encountered it at a higher level in a different location, we went in from the south side. But the room is the exact same, and you do the exact same thing. And those are just a couple of examples, and I don't expect every single mission to be unique, but to repeat like the exact same thing over and over and over again while leveling up, yeah. I mean, I guess I would have liked to see more variation, and I'm not saying it's not more work, but it just also felt a little bit lazy in some of these side missions and encounters to just be doing the same thing over and over and over again for 20 plus hours on the way to max level. That's my biggest gripe there. But once more, there were enough. I believe there's somewhere close to 25 to 30 of those main story missions, and they were interesting enough to keep me engaged. And I sort of just thought of it like, look, this is how I get experience. It might not be the most exciting or varied thing in the world, But in between doing these main story missions, which I love, we do a little bit of a repetitive grind. And no matter what, when we've got a level of progression system, a game with these type of loot RPG style mechanics, there is going to be some semblance of a grind. So how it's done, whether it's just by killing endless enemies or repeating very, very similar, if not identical quests, maybe it's just a necessary evil in these types of games as they try to pad out many, many hours of content. And even though it's something that I managed to hit in just under 2 days, most people who aren't insane or, you know, who have another job besides playing video game, that content could probably last them a few weeks, and then they hit the end game, and then they start to gear acquisition, which could last them many more weeks to many months. And then, hopefully, upcoming content drops are going to make things more interesting. Now, there's also a crafting system in this game. It is so incredibly basic, though, and I really didn't dive too much into it while leveling up because I've been saving all my crafting resources for max level. Basically, anytime you break down a weapon, it gives you resources of a rarity, and those resources can be used to craft a level 5 weapon or a level 30 weapon. So I figured it was smartest to save it all to craft level 30 weapons. Essentially, it is take resource parts, put them together, make a weapon. It's very, very simplistic, very straightforward. There's really not too much complex to talk about it. And yeah, I mean, it's really just that. It's really straightforward. You've got these 3 different mission types. You go through the city, and you do these as you hit max level. As you go through the city, you'll find resources for crafting, consumables, things like buffs and grenades and med kits and stuff. And that's it. I mean, this is the game right now. Now, as I talked about, I have hit max level, so we're at the end game. We'll be going through the Dark Zone, we'll be doing dailies, we'll be doing the challenge mode versions of missions. And that's stuff that I'm looking forward to going through that process. You know, it's been great hitting max level and starting to get good gear and coming up with these huge challenges and then besting them. But again, that's what this game is, as I talked about earlier. It's that ladder that you climb. You start off low, things are bullet spongy. You get better gear, that stuff's easy. Then you're presented with the next rung of difficult challenge where things are bullet spongy again. You get better gear, that stuff becomes easy. Eventually, we'll climb all our way to the top and everything in the game will be easy until the next DLC content comes out. But there you go. That's that. So overall, I'd say that my impressions are... yeah. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not blown away either. That's all I like to say. As I talked about, the shooting's pretty alright. Nothing stellar, but the thing that's keeping me in this game and keeping me playing this game is quite simple. I enjoy third-person shooters. I enjoy loot-based games. And I enjoy MMOs, even if this isn't a fully fledged MMO, it's got MMO aspects. And then, lastly, the PvP. I think it's those 4 pillars which are keeping my house together in terms of playing through the Division and continuing to want to go through this loot acquisition, gear grind, and engage in the Dark Zone PvP. And I'd like to see what else they have to offer. I'm really interested in what this endgame's gonna bring, and I do plan to keep you guys posted as I go through it. Alright guys, well that is going to do it. I did, again, just want to give you a breakdown of what exactly the Division is and what exactly you'll be doing. As you level throughout up to 30, you'll be doing 3 different types of quests. The main story ones are great. Everything else, pretty repetitive and rather forgettable. But if you like the shooting and you like loot acquisition, then you may very well just enjoy this game. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me here today. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Stay tuned. I'll be talking a little bit more about the Division going forward as I do push through the end game. Expect a video in the next couple of days. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good afternoon. Until next time, I'll see you later.